to everyone. It's Ada from Poison Rock, and today it's my pleasure to have with us all the Lost Romantic. I mean, all of you. First of all, guys, the toughest question at the moment: how are you? How's it going?
Strong start. Strong start. We're doing fantastic, thank you. It's been a busy time for us, as you can tell. We've just finished a couple of headline shows in Germany.
Nice.
We've been back working on the release for the new single. And then we're here for about another week or so, and we're back off on a headline
Okay.
UK tour.
Yeah, I read that. It's gonna start also close to the release of the single. So I think you already performed the new single in the European tour, or it's the first time that you're gonna perform the single in UK tour?
We played it in Germany
Okay.
for the first time a couple weeks back. And yeah, this show we're going to be playing at every show, so we're very excited for that.
So let's say that the people are already that went into your live show they were lucky to listen about it. But before we start to speak also how Lost Romantic started and everything, I'm used to ask each one of you. So decide who's gonna be the first. A little bit of as a background, as a musical journey before being Lost Romantic. So
Who wants to go, boys?
Go on, Kieran. You've
Right
been
Go on,
point.
Kieran,
Right point.
kick it off, brother.
you've been strangely fucking quiet. Let's do something.
I'm usually the quiet one, but I mean, I've been playing drums for like going on 21 years, and then I started in punk bands ever since I was like 12 or 13, and then just did loads and loads and loads of projects, and some stuff blew up, some stuff was just for fun, and then I met Freddie in 2022. Then we came to my studio 4 days after I think Fred messaged me, and we was just listening to demos, and then from then it was kind of like slowly progressed, into what it is now. And then obviously the album came out in 2023, and it's just been a fucking whirlwind. It's just been everything's kind of just sort of come together, and we've always worked the hardest I think we've ever worked, really. I mean, I speak for myself on that one. It's just been a drive, and you just keep going and going no matter what, and you just try and create good music. And then obviously Jason joined us as well, and we were also doing like acoustic, like when we was doing acoustic shows, Jason would always join us like the last year or two.
Okay.
And then yeah, we kind of just all got together, and then yeah.
So Jason, you were the one officially to join.
Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, a bit of background just to one up Kieran. I've been playing guitar for 23 years. Thank you very much. So I've been working professionally in the industry for about sort of 10, 12 years, something like that. I was working as a session guitarist, songwriter, and producer. And I think the first time I met the boys was a friend of a friend called me up, saying there's this writing session going on with this guy called Freddie Long. I think you guys would really vibe. You should come down. So came down, and I think we churned out two really good songs in one session that I believe ended up on the first album. So that was my introduction to the guys, and that was I think before Kieran actually joined the band as well. So before it became Lost Romantic, that was still Freddie as his solo project. So yeah, we were sort of dabbling with the writing for quite a while, and then the boys, when Lost Romantic started, called me up and said, "Oh yeah, we've got a couple of acoustic shows, little showcases going down. Would you like to come and join and play acoustic guitar?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we did a couple of those, and then there was one final showcase we did for some friends at Bang& Olufsen in central London, and the guys called me up saying, "Can you come down and do this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And there was such a connection and such a vibe at that show that I think we all really felt. And that obviously planted a seed in the boys' head, sort of going, I think we could do something with this. So a couple of months later, the boys called me up and said, would you like to join the band as a sort of an official member, become a part of Lost Romantic? And yeah, jumped on the opportunity. And yeah, we've, as Kieran says, been working hard ever since. I mean, the boys were working hard before. Yeah, we're just cracking on and putting all of our heart and soul into the music and the touring and getting everything together. So yeah, that's the short version.
Yeah. And Freddie, what about you? Because of course, before, like we said, they were like your own solo. So with Freddie, and how you came out from just a solo project to decide to just want to be like the Lost Romantic.
Yeah, so yeah, I was doing a solo project for about 8 years. And it was all after COVID, really. Sort of played a tour in Germany, and COVID struck. And then it was a
In
couple of years
Germany,
in
when COVID.
yeah, I was in Germany. Yeah. And I flew back. Well, we got back home. And then yeah, just like, you know, however that period of time was a weird period. It's just like it's even hard to remember. But I think it's everything just changed. You know, I just felt like my creative outlet just was you know, itching for a bit of fun. You know, not that my solo project wasn't fun, but you know, I've always wanted to play with a band, to be around other musicians, and I met our manager, who is now our manager, Brian Message, and he suggested it to me. He was like, "Fred, look, why don't we look to build a band?" And I think literally that week, I found Kieran on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
just went shopping, bro.
yeah.
Like
And
just
then
in the supermarket.
yeah, exactly. No, he was playing with a friend of ours, and then I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Anyway, like Kieran said, messaged him, linked up, and it was just like instant connection. Same vision, same energy, same passions. I think that day we recorded like 3 videos in the space of 2 hours. Not even. Yeah, it was just mental, and then it just snowballed, for where we are now. And then, as the boys have said, how Jason joined the band. So, you know, it's been such a great journey, and I think it's been such a raw journey for the band. And you know, having all the boys and where we are now, it just feels right, and it just feels like everything's there now. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, because you did a lot of things in 1 year and in 2 years since the release of Love and Hate, and it's really been condensed, like literally touring, album, new single. This new single is also an anticipation from what could be a new EP or a new album, or just releasing a new single at the moment.
You have to wait and see.
Okay, so you don't give any kind of satisfaction for your fans. That's a sadism. That's sadism. That's not fair.
We're working on lots of lots of music this year.
Okay, that's
absolutely. And it's as you said, it's been quite a while since some music's been released from Lost Romantic. It's we've been sort of sat on the album and just working it, just touring relentlessly with this record. And I think just from my perspective, sort of coming on board and joining the guys, sort of coming from the songwriting space, I think it's really changed our approach to how we're creating records and what we want to do with them. So it's going to be, there's some really new vibes coming out in the music that's coming. There's some exciting new energy, some new sounds happening. And there's a whole journey sort of planned out in front of us that I think the fans are going to be really, really excited about. So without giving too much of the game away, I think it's a very exciting year ahead.
So of course, as we can say, sound wise at the moment, so we can expect some new influences coming in the new music in the next month. So
yeah, absolutely. We've it's always the way when you bring a new member into a band, naturally their influence is going to sort of creep it in
this case.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of mine. Yeah, I mean, I've got a very sort of rock and metal kind of background, so I think that's definitely sort of starting to creep its way in a little bit, depending on how much I can get away with, and mixing with Kieran's sort of work and sort of his love of sort of pop punk and that style of music, and Freddie's style is sort of the dark pop and rock side. It creates a really new, interesting dynamic that we're experimenting with and having so much fun with at the moment.
I think just to add on to that, I think just adding in Jason now with these new records, you know, before we had session guitarists and stuff, and now we've got obviously Jason's flair on the guitar. So I think expect big sounds, you know, like the last album, but we've got some authentic grit coming through.
Oh yeah,
and it is exciting.
It just feels supernatural as well. Like even, you know, like Freddie said earlier, you know, like when we first got in the studio, I remember listening to all the demos, and I think the first one that really hit me was Sober, and I was like, let me go and try and work something out. And I'd run into my live room, I'd recorded the drums there and then, kind of without Freddie knowing, because at the time I didn't know what was going to happen. It was just sort of like, oh, okay, like let's just mess around and see what comes up of it. But like, you know, like Freddie was saying, like the rawness of having Jason's guitars in it, especially now with how the new music sounds, like you can still go back to that first album and appreciate that body of work and that era of what it was. And then now with the new stuff, it doesn't stray too far, because I always find that if a new member comes in or a new album comes out or new singles come out, it's like it goes one way or the other way. But with this, it's just the first album just on steroids. It's just made it that next level of like where
it's the
you know,
it's the natural progression of the first album as well, especially this single that's coming out on the 4th. Is it feels like it feels like the evolution of the album, and in terms of the writing, in terms of how we produced the record, along with our friend Alex Larson.
You're a producer too, if I'm right.
I am a producer. Yeah, this record was done by a good friend, Alex Larson, who was one of the co-writers on this record as well. And we spent sort of about 4 or 5 days with him, sort of getting everything really locked down in London, putting this together, and sort of just working on that process of what is this song supposed to be? What's it meant to sound like? And just letting that process sort of be a natural one, you know, rather than trying to force it. You have to let the song be what it needs to be, and I think we've achieved that with this one.
Yeah, and also you're like you mentioned your each influences of you are putting together, give a kind of a new fresh sound, because not something that I mean, you can have people listening this type of genre putting together, melting together, but not having a fresh sound. Maybe they can have some, you know, hip hop, I don't know, beats, and then the metal riff of the guitar. No, this is something completely different and fresh.
So, yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, you see it. I've seen you guys do a lot of sort of interviews in the metal world and things, and you see a lot of that in rock and metal, especially. Is somebody will come up with a particular sound. For example, like the Sleep Token guys at the moment have come up with a very, very iconic sound, and you quite quickly see a lot of bands jumping onto that bandwagon going, okay, we're going to tune everything down to drop G and go from there. Whereas we kind of, our influences with this record sort of arc way further back. We're looking at sort of releases from the late 90s, early 2000s. That's the music that sort of really influenced us, and they've been the sort of the things we've tried to take into this record, take influence from, but at the same time keep it sounding relevant, keep it sounding modern, but with just a little bit of that nostalgia factor in there.
That's what I think also bring the interest and of also people from another generation, let's say, not only the youngest, also people from the older generation, the nostalgic people of that sound. That's also a good way to put different generation at your live show, for example, because I think I see different people from ages, kids, older, to your own live show. That's, I think, where you can understand fully that you did it right. Because you got all generation watch. It's like when you watch a Deep Purple live show, you see kids, parents, elder people, and that's beautiful because your music touches everyone. So I think that's where you really nailed it. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, that's my point of view, and your fan, I think, in United States, #1. That at the end we're gonna shout out to her. We'll think. But the single, just to name it, it's We Spoke. It's called Here Tomorrow. Am I right? It's gonna be.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So lyric-wise, what is because of course in Love and Hate lyric-wise what was about, I don't like to say concept, main message was influenced by, but in your own word, what was like the main topic or experience that you wanted to bring with Love and Hate, at least at the beginning?
I mean, that album was very much a progression through life of, I guess, traumatic experiences. Like it was, yeah, it was written in a very dark era.
Okay.
A lot of uncertainty, a lot of, yeah, just a lot of darkness, to be honest with you. Like even just thinking back to that time now, just it's quite foggy and not the best memories. But I think the whole point of the album was quite a reflectional journey, and you know, in a way, a bit of a cry for help on a piece of paper, in a way. You know, most of the album was written before we joined properly as Lost Romantic, but you know, when Kieran joined and added his drums onto it, it just elevated everything, really sort of drove home that message. So yeah, as Jason said before, that album, you know, I'm moving forward into this next phase of Lost Romantic. You know, this next tune coming out was actually written probably about three years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so
and yeah, it's one we've had sort of sitting around for a while, and I guess the reason we haven't released it just because it hasn't really felt like the right time, and also sound wise, we've really managed to tuck into this one and get it sounding proper how we would like Lost Romantic to release their next single with.
Yeah,
you know, it sounds big bolshy, but also it's a very emotive track, and it's got a very deep message in it. So yeah, that's a little bit about the last album.
Yeah, and so you can see many difference also in the songwriting in the new song, the upcoming ones in the future.
Yeah, so I mean, this song, you know, it's called Here Tomorrow, and it's really about, you know, I remember writing this song myself, Jason, and Ian Janko and Alex Larson were all in the studio when we wrote this one, and weirdly enough, we were all in quite a similar space. And yeah, you know, I remember coming off the back of a night with an ex partner of mine, and it was just all very intense that night before, and it just was a scary moment. And if I'm honest, I didn't really know if she was gonna sort of stick in there with it and sort of be able to get through these hard times, and that's what the song's about. You know, the song's about being there for one another, and the message is just be here tomorrow. You know, everything will get better, and you know, it's a really special meaning, and I think it's quite universal. We wanted to write it like that. You know, we didn't want to sort of isolate the message. We all took our own personal experiences into this one, and we're able to sort of share that in the song. So yeah, we're all, you know, speak for the boys here, but we're very, very proud of this one, and I think the message is pretty strong, and yeah, we're just excited to share it and see what people think.
Yeah, and it's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because when we live in a world that for at least most of the population in the entire world, we live in a moment when we don't have our daily life, maybe we start to lose hope or something. Like a song like Here Tomorrow can give you kind of not only the hope, but also the strength to believe that hope will actually is real. So
absolutely
to get better, because all of us go through dark time, tough times, and maybe many people lose hope immediately. So this is important as a message, and I think many people can see that in the lyric and the song, especially with what we're living, because as we start to lose the hope of especially the youngest people, you know, many young teenager, you see that I don't even about the job. I see here in Sicily all the time. There's no future about the job. There's no hope. Maybe just relax a moment, chill out, look around yourself, or just make a luggage and travel whatsoever. But there is always a solution if you want it. So
exactly. I mean, we do, as you say, I think everyone's fully aware, especially since COVID. I think,
yeah,
and for young people, we seem to live in very uncertain and pretty wild times.
yeah,
And despite the fact that we are really all going through it together, sometimes it feels like you're very, very alone with that struggle. And I think, yeah, it was something that we were all feeling at the time when we wrote this track. Is that message of just keep going, you know, just be here tomorrow, get up and turn up. Um, the world might be crazy, but you got a choice. You can either keep going or you can give up, and it's going to hurt either way.
yeah. That's a beautiful message.
Absolutely.
So just to remind us that this single will be out on the 4th. It will be out with a music video or just a single release and on the digital platform.
Music video.
Okay, there is
Oh
a
yeah.
video.
Yeah,
So we can say
we've
that
got,
to the fan. Okay, at least there
we
will be
have.
something early, at least one. And also, but the day before you're gonna start touring again. You're gonna be reading in Leeds. Am I right? You're gonna be in Leeds and then
Correct.
okay. So it's kind of a tour, the releasing party of Here Tomorrow, we can say, kind of. So, and that's all for the moment, or you're something booked for this festival, like, now it's festival season almost starting.
So we're quite
Um,
quiet on the
Okay.
festivals this year by design. Our focus for this year was to sort of get boots on the ground with mainly the UK, a little bit of Europe, and visit the places that often aren't visited by bands. There's lots of cities out there in the UK that don't get a lot of attention in terms of bands coming to them. I know we've got some big stops on this coming tour, but throughout the rest of the year and some of the touring opportunities we're doing there, we're trying to spread the word sort of far and wide in the UK, visit some of the places that you wouldn't necessarily think of for a tour, and yeah, just spread some love that kind of way, I think.
That's a beautiful thing, and maybe it's the first time I heard about something, because you're visiting your own country, city that are, like you said, are not many time visited, and it's like it's not done by, I think, like I said, I never heard that before, so it's really interesting. And maybe you can do that in Europe once as well, going to those cities that no one knows. Maybe just open Google Maps and say we go here, we go there. But and I think with touring, you had a lot of beautiful memories, funny memories, stupid memories. There was some memories, I don't know, that stick with you more than the others. Could be also a funny one or an emotional one. It's up to you which you want to say. Just also to make laugh or make emotion. Okay, you're
Okay,
laughing.
hold
That's
on.
one.
I
Joke.
mean,
Boys,
I mean,
just
yeah.
just let me
we
remind you that we have all signed NDAs, so you know the stories I'm talking about. We can't say those in public. Yes, okay, thank you.
There's been loads. There's just been. I think it's just it's weird to think that people love us as musicians or artists, and they love our music, and we just love creating music. So I think to be able to go and visit these places or countries or meet fans and sign stuff from and listen to their story, that's like a whole as a
Yeah.
whole, like not even just with memories, but that as a whole is like
yeah.
it's pretty mind-blowing. Like,
It's a strange
when you think about
experience,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That was exactly the feeling for me when we had our show in Cologne recently. We had a fantastic gig the night before in Berlin, but with these tours, like it's sort of with the traveling and things, it all gets a bit sort of hectic, and you can't often sort of settle into the moment. When we got to Cologne, for me anyway, it really felt like we did, and seeing all of these people turn up in a city that's not ours, in a country that's not ours. And all of these people came out to come and listen to our music, come and spend some time with us. That was a real moment for me as well. Yeah, just realizing that people do actually like what we're doing. This is great. This is cool.
I mean, I think your music spread out really well. I mean, if you're in Sicily, that I'm lost in the sea, or in the United States. There's a lot of fun in the US, as you may know. So I think the only thing to left is releasing music and touring, like you did until now. I mean, and before just we go through the end of the interview, there has been okay, of course, for each let's say role you have, like just you as a guitarist, Kieran, you as a drummer, and Freddie, you as a singer, someone that truly inspire you as a like this was my inspiration as a singer, this was my inspiration as a guitarist, this was my inspiration as a drummer. So leave it to you. It can be only two.
That's a big,
Only
big question.
And I didn't go with the
I'll go.
top album.
I mean, for me, like I think Mick Jagger's just like, you know, his moves, his energy on stage is always captivating. I think he's someone just like has fun with his performance, and just enjoys life. Earlier on, it was someone like Alex Turner. You know, that was for me, it was a big sort of person when I was growing up with my teeth. Aside of that, yeah, those two. But vocally, Paolo Nutini is actually one of my sort of like, you know, I know it's, you know, maybe not as iconic. Well, he's very iconic. Actually, I shouldn't say that, but for me, his vocal caught me when I was young, and that's what got me into singing.
So who's next?
Go on, Kieran. I can guess.
I don't know. When I was growing up, I was around so much like music growing up, you know, from, I don't know, Northern Soul to like punk music to mod to like everything, like Elvis and Johnny Cash. And I had so much music and so much creativity within my family that it was really tough. I remember the first drummer that I really fell in love with was Keith Moon from The Who, just because he was a maniac. And it was just like he didn't care about anything, but he was so musical. Like if you listen to the way he plays drums, it's not the normal way to play the drums. Everything was completely melodic. It wasn't rhythmic. And the way he plays the drums, like he doesn't play normally, he doesn't play to the bass guitar, he plays to the vocals. Which is, I mean, I've taught myself drums for like over 20 years. And that was the one thing that I always kind of stuck with was I don't care about what the bass line's doing. I don't care about what guitars are doing. I was like, I'm just waiting for a vocal cue or like a word, and then I know when to change section. So I kind of took that development when I was super young. And then as I grew up, it was like Tommy Lee from Motley Crue and Travis from Blink and Tony Royster Jr., like all of these drummers. And then even when I started to get into like musicians and producers, it was like Pharrell and Rick Rubin and like all of these. Just there's such a wide, diverse, like inspiration. I find it tough to pinpoint for one person. It's more like what's around you, what you grew up with, your environment, and even leaving your own house. Do you know what I mean? Like what everything that's around you is kind of a massive inspiration anyway to whenever I play drums or who I do it for and why I do it. I think that's the whole
but
in
you
a
had
nutshell.
like a lot of diverse influence, and that's beautiful. And I think fan can hear that in your own way of playing drums.
Yeah, I should hope so.
That's
the
your
plan.
influence, of course, they can hear it. What about you, Jason? Who was your guitarist?
So yeah, when I was a kid, sort of going way back, my dad sort of introduced me to a load of blues guitarists. That was really where things first started. I think Clapton was the first sort of like guitar player that I was really introduced to, and that was a massive influence on me. That started, but similarly paired with a lot of time in my childhood was spent in the south of Spain, so I spent a lot of time around flamenco music, and there was something about that I think just subconsciously dug its way in there. It was the sort of the passion of it, and seeing the interplay of sort of dance and passion and music coming together. I think it's something that I didn't really think about until quite recently again, was how important that interplay is between the audience and the music, how they shouldn't exist on their own. You know, they have to come together. And as I say, sort of went through the years of learning guitar. I was taught by a proper metalhead. The guy he was an amazing guitar player, played with a lot of great metal bands. And that was something I saw again in that was the relationship between the artist and the audience, that's so present in the rock and metal world, and that's something that just really got me going. I mean, I was always around sort of like the Kill Switch kind of lot, Parkway Drive, Lamb of God, things like that. So that kind of, it was more the passion of it just really came together. And then the virtuoso guitar players, Yngwie Malmsteen, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Joe Bonamassa, all those guys that came into it. And then playing as a session guitarist, getting into the likes of Guthrie Govan and some of those guys. And then coming to the realization again that it is about that sort of interplay between the audience and the music, and coming back to a place where I'm writing songs that I care about rather than guitar parts that are crazy intricate and I'm four finger tapping and everything. It's about, okay, is the song connecting with the audience? Are they having a nice time? Are they enjoying it? That's what it's about for me now. So
and there's a guitarist that you made me think about. He has a lot of inspiration from the let's say the South American, the Spanish side. Estaston, I think you know him.
Yes, yeah.
Amazing, and I had the chance to speak with him in the interview. He's an amazing musician. He's an amazing human being, and so humble that with this gigantic success he has all over the world, he always stays humble. I play in the street, in the theater. He's
undoubtedly amazing guitar player. I've been aware of his work for a long time, and obviously sort of very heavily influenced by the flamenco style of things.
Exactly.
But taking it to a slightly different place as well. So big fan of Estas, big fan of him. So that's very interesting. That's cool. That's really nice.
And of course, before we end, just to remind really quickly how let's say the appointment for the fan. So on the 3rd, the tour is gonna actually start in the first city will be Leeds. Will continue until the end of April. Is all April the touring?
We're up until the 14th of April. We're touring, so we've got a number of dates between the 1st and the 14th. So if anybody's in the UK and you want to come and say hello, I believe this interview will be coming out sort of around the beginning of the tour. So if there's any last minute tickets left, please come and grab them and come and join us, guys.
And then on the 4th, there is the Here and Tomorrow single and music videos we understood released. But I think people we can see also in the next weeks, maybe months, some new music coming out. And I don't know, maybe some new lives announced also. Who knows?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Just tuning into the social media, and also always important is that to support as they can, also buying the album, the first album, at least at the moment that is out, is also still in physical copy available, or always been in physical copy available.
What, of the first album?
Yeah.
There was a really weird thing that we basically did. So when the album came out, I remember we were going to do vinyl, and then we were going to do CDs, and we were going to do physical stuff. And then at the time, because it was such a whirlwind, me and Freddie kind of had the conversation, and we were like, oh, we need to get CDs done. And then I remember me and Fred were going back and forth with ideas of what you wanted to do with a physical CD. And we basically came to this weird agreement of how cool would it be for me to hand draw every single CD, custom make every single CD, and just send them out. So that's what we basically did for a long time, was just kind of just, I would draw everything. I do these little like tattoo flash kind of sketches and stuff, and kind of just give it that personal feel, because we didn't want to go down the normal route of just pressing CDs and having like everyone's is the exact same, and then you autograph them and then it's still the same thing. It was more the case of going, how do you do something that's so different, that's never been done, kind of time consuming, but it's very therapeutic, but at the same time it was one of those ones. So for a little while we did that, and then now I think it gets streamed so much. Like I'm a numbers guy, so I always kind of just watch the numbers go up and up and up and up. But as I said, there's always, I'm always down to start pushing physical ones out again, because I love doing
we've got some with the new single and new music on the way. We have some exciting sort of physical releases on the way. They're not here just yet, and I can't tell you too much, but we got some cool stuff coming up. For us, the biggest thing at the moment is heading over to our Spotify. Heading over to the Spotify, giving us a follow on there, because as we say, we've got a ton of new music on the way. We've got some really cool physical releases coming up as well. Whole new run of merchandise, maybe. So there's loads of cool stuff happening. So if people follow us on either Spotify or Instagram, TikTok, or all of the above, they'll stay up to date with absolutely everything that's coming their way.
You said all, Jason. You did the ending for me. We can say bye.
Yeah, that's it. See you later. Bye.
Okay, just let's send a shout out to your one that make you know, Lisa. She's from Oklahoma. So from
Oklahoma.
She's been through hell. Yeah. I'm gonna say something so I can make a small clip from here. Just say that.
Lisa, thank you very much for the suggestion, and thank you to Poison Rock for having us. It's been our absolute pleasure. We're really sorry we've lost Freddie. We're not entirely sure.
We have no idea where he's gone.
He's really good at that. He does that at gigs sometimes, but that's another story for you.
Here. It's okay.
Thank you so much for having us.
It was a pleasure. And when there's going to be more songs to release, we're going to do an updating.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds like a plan.
I'm going to send you the name of the venue in Italy.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Are we falling out of love? Straight for the other side and sing us a lullaby. I told you that I loved you until the day I died.